As I move through the current journey of life, or the current season, probably more accurately, of life that I'm in, I really don't want to chase anything anymore, to be honest with you. But I think if I had to choose to chase one thing, I would chase the feeling of aliveness, of thriving instead of surviving, of the sheer joy that comes from living a life that is authentic and that comes from a place of love and joy, and that's fueled by the beauty of both of those emotions and the beauty of looking at the simple and slow moments in life and allowing them to be enough. Hi, I'm Sonia, and if you've been here before, you already know I am actively learning to move before I'm ready and to stay when things get uncomfortable just a little bit longer. And as always, if you're on this journey too, welcome. Welcome. And this is almost an extension, as the videos frequently are, of my last video, of kind of talking a little bit how we've over optimized and sometimes moved from a place of survival, and how we can be fueled by emotions and experiences that aren't necessarily ours, or that keep us in a place of lack or a feeling of never being enough or always needing to do more, kind of a fear from slowing down. Um, and like the beauty of trying to move differently, but how scary that can feel and how scary that can be, because you have these habits and this identity that you have built to get you to where you are. And if you move differently, that could change, or you could lose everything that you've built. But the beauty is that you could finally step into and build something that is truly yours, or that feels good. And it can be something dramatic, like a whole new career or a whole new relationship or moving across the world, but it can also be smaller. It can be learning to establish boundaries or not overgive, not overperform. And as a result, having capacity to sign up for that dance class you never had time for, or read that book that's been on your shelf for 3 years, or finally start cooking, whatever it is. I think sometimes we see these videos and we are attracted to and see like these really big stories or these huge realizations and examples. And, you know, they're beautiful. And I have definitely been motivated by some really powerful stories of, the people that have quit their 9 to 5 and moved to a whole new country and started their own business, and suddenly like they're thriving and traveling, and all of that is possible. And if it's something that is meant for you and is called for you, then of course, like, it's time to start moving in a way where that can become a reality. But I think it's also important to realize that when we talk about aliveness and when we talk about thriving instead of surviving, there's actually so much power of incorporating that into your day to day. Into, maybe it means waking up and having a slow morning and not needing to rush out the door or run around like you're with a chicken, sorry, with their head cut off, trying to get everything done, and not like immediately having to check your phone or respond to emails or cater to everything and everyone around you before you even have a moment to yourself. So maybe thriving is a slow morning, a delicious cup of tea or coffee. Like I said, maybe it's learning to set a boundary of like when you leave the office every day, so you have time and capacity to connect with your family or your partner or your loved ones, or to do that thing that you've been putting off for years, or to take control of your health. Maybe it's learning to not overgive and overpour into everything and everyone around you, and like pour a little bit more into yourself. And I think that's been the theme that I've been now integrating into my life and into my world. And I started with those small things of like trying to hold on to or honor my slow mornings. I love a slow morning. How to set a routine and a schedule that allows me to honor movement. How to make sure I have not only time, but also capacity to connect with loved ones in a meaningful way, and to even in the smallest ways make time for the things that fuel me, even recording these videos or connecting and networking with new people, dancing, whatever it is. And it's been such a powerful experience. And I think it's so hard for us to like let go of that identity and kind of step into this new identity and realize that it is possible, and that there is so much beauty in just being and feeling alive. And I think the other beautiful thing about aliveness is it can mean something different to everyone. Like my version of aliveness might be, sunshine and nature and dancing and moving and play, but your version might be slowing down or reading or, doing something on your own. Like, I think what helps us to feel alive is different for every individual, but I think it's so beautiful to be able to move from that place and belief that love, joy, play are not only necessary, but they're possible and they're safe. And I say safe in the sense of sometimes when you have been wired to hustle, to overperform, to constantly be chasing something, the idea of rest and joy and play sometimes doesn't feel safe. Sometimes, whether consciously or subconsciously, your nervous system starts to catastrophize the idea of slowing down or of enjoying the moment because your mind starts to think about all of the things you're not doing in that moment instead of being in the present moment. And I know I'm guilty of this, and I know a lot of people watching this will be guilty of it too. Um, and there's so much beauty to being able to silence that voice and realize that life is not about achieving every perfect outcome or every perfect goal or about always chasing something. It's not about always moving the goalpost, about trying to fix and over optimize and build things. Like sometimes it's just about being. And I think of, different poems or things I've read or videos I've seen where they reference like we're human beings, not human doings, but we've designed and built this culture that's hyper focused around productivity and optimizing and achievement. And again, it's so beautiful. And like we've uncovered and discovered so many innovations as a result of that. But we've forgotten how to just live and how to just be and stay in the present moment and find beauty or peace or contentment in it. Um, and I feel like you can probably feel this in my energy. And I feel like excited and expanded as I even talk about it. And I will caveat that this is new for me as well. Like I'm trying to move in a different way in this season and focus on like what makes me feel alive and what is going super well in life, and like how can I find joy in the moment that I'm in? Like how can I find happiness without chasing and moving towards something better or something that's going to fix me or something different? Because when I pause, and now that I've kind of gone through the journey of changing external circumstances, of healing my inner world, of trying to move and operate from a different place, now I'm trying to integrate all of that. And like I mentioned before, like I genuinely feel like life is good and it's not, nothing has changed. none of my external circumstances have changed. I haven't had any really big, like, discoveries or manifestations or, like, miraculous surprises take place. Everything is very much so the same, but if I compare myself, even last week to this week, I just feel so much more expanded and happy, and it has been because I'm not putting pressure on myself, and I'm not trying to force a certain outcome. And more importantly, when something doesn't go to plan, because I still have plans and I still have a routine that I try to abide by, and if I don't achieve it or if things don't work out, I don't beat myself up about it. I know that one day or one week or even one month in the grand scheme of things does not mean you can't achieve your goals, you can't make changes, you can't move differently, you can't be happy. It really doesn't. And not to go back to my classic example, but I think about it with like fitness, how, if you have one cheat meal or one bad week, or if you even just enjoy yourself on vacation, that's not going to drastically change or impact your fitness journey or your appearance or your physique. It's not suddenly going to make you a less active or healthy person. And somewhere along the way, we've convinced ourselves that if we live and we let go and we allow ourselves to feel safe, operating from a place of aliveness and joy, that we're going to lose all of our progress. And what I am learning is it's quite the opposite. And I'll give you this example as I kind of finish up for this video. But I had set goals for the month of May. I had a number of videos I wanted to record and prepare. I had some running targets and goals. I had some goals and metrics that I wanted to hit for like outreach and different kind of um, discussions and connections I wanted to forge. And I had a week where I was very sick, and then a week where I was trying to ramp back up, and I didn't, record any videos, and I didn't run, and I didn't get a chance to kind of connect or do the outreach that I had planned. But in the last week, and again, with kindness and grace, I did hit my kilometer goal. Like, I wanted to run 15 kilometers and I ran 15 kilometers, and I wanted to go to a run club and I went to a run club. I recorded a number of videos when I had the time and capacity, and I did actually connect in meaningful ways with like communities and people that I wanted to connect with. And I did it all from a place of like grace and moving slowly and honoring my body. So while I did have 2 weeks that did not go to plan, and I didn't really have capacity or opportunity to move towards or work towards what I had said, I did find ways to make it happen in the end without putting pressure on myself and without getting mad at myself, and by focusing on like what I can do versus what I can't. And I will say, even if I didn't achieve those, I think that's been the biggest win of the month. Like, that's okay. There's next month. Your goals don't miraculously go away or become less important or less impressive because they took you a little bit longer or you had to take a different route. And I had a visualization once with an entrepreneurial coach that I worked with a few years ago. And the whole thing was around, there are different ways and different paths to get to where you're going. And sometimes you might be on one path and it might be really straightforward, but then you realize you have to go a different way, and it might take you it might be a detour, it might be a little bit harder or different, whatever, but you're still going to get there. And I think that's just part of the learning and the lesson too. And I know I touched on a plethora of topics and kind of jumped around a little bit in this video, but I think it's more a genuine and honest reflection of what it might feel like if you're in this season, if you are trying to integrate a new way of operating, and if you are trying to focus on what it means to be alive and moving from that place. And as much as I'm trying to shed the identity of a, high performer or someone that is hyper independent or, is super like resilient, disciplined, and driven, I also honor that part of myself and realize she got me here. And I might still have to leverage that, but I can also move differently and not be so focused on just like having to show up a certain way to achieve what I want, and maybe being open to the belief that there are other ways that you can achieve that, but moving from play, love, joy, safety, thriving, moving differently. And I think that's what I'll leave you with. Let me know. Are you open to there being another way? And we'll talk soon.